What if everything you thought you were watching this season was only the surface, and beneath it, a completely different story was quietly being written? Because this is not just about arguments or emotional moments. It is about power, shifting narratives being built, and an ending that may already be decided long before anyone says the word divorce. Stay with me, because once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Hi besties, welcome back to the channel, and today we are diving into a moment that on the surface feels like just another argument, another uncomfortable exchange, another awkward family disagreement. But when you slow it down and really listen to what is being said, and more importantly, how it is being said, it starts to feel like something much bigger, something more calculated, something that signals a shift that cannot be undone. Because this season of Sister Wives is not just documenting the collapse of a family, it is documenting the rewriting of history in real time. And it starts with control, with language, with who gets framed as reasonable and who gets framed as dangerous. And it begins quietly, in moments that feel almost throwaway, like a discussion about a mission statement, a piece of paper, a symbolic agreement that somehow turns into a threat about loyalty, obedience, and belonging. And when Maddie questions it, when she pushes back even slightly, the response is not curiosity or understanding, it is escalation. It is, if you do not agree, you can leave. And that right there is the core of everything. Because when disagreement becomes grounds for exile, the relationship is already broken. And what is chilling is how quickly that threat surfaces, how easily it is said, how normalized the idea of forcing compliance becomes. And Cody hesitates, he resists, he says he will not make anyone sign anything. And in that hesitation, you can see the fracture. Because Robin does not hesitate. She pushes, she insists, she reframes it as what is best, what is necessary, what defines their life. And when Cody does not immediately comply, the frustration is visible, the tone shifts, and suddenly the conversation is not about unity, it is about power. And this is not an isolated incident. This is a pattern that has followed this family for years, where disagreement is treated as betrayal, where autonomy is seen as disloyalty, and where emotional pressure is used to bring people back into line. And what makes this season different is that the same tactics that were once used outward are now being turned inward. Because the family structure that protected these dynamics is gone, and now all that remains are the individuals left to face each other without buffers. And what we are watching between Cody and Robin is not partnership, it is negotiation. It is constant emotional check-ins that feel less like care and more like surveillance. Because healthy relationships do not require weekly confirmation of safety, trust, satisfaction, and vulnerability. Those things exist naturally. They are felt, not audited. And when you find yourself repeatedly asking, "Are you okay with me? Are you happy with me? Do you feel safe with me?" It is often because the answer is already no, and you are trying to manage the fallout. And this is where the garage becomes symbolic, because Cody spending so much time there, physically separated from the home, while Robin repeatedly goes to find him, creates a visual metaphor for their relationship. He is removed, she pursues. He retreats, she follows. And that push and pull is exhausting, and it's not sustainable. And it mirrors the emotional distance that keeps growing between them. And while some might dismiss this as stress or editing, the language tells a different story. Because Robin has begun using phrases that carry weight beyond the moment, emotionally unsafe, pulling away, not agreeing with his attitudes, and those words matter. Because they are not casual, they are clinical. They are the kinds of words that create records, that justify decisions, that explain outcomes. And if they sound familiar, it is because we have heard them before during her previous divorce, where the narrative slowly shifted from conflict to concern, from disagreement to danger. And it did not happen overnight. It happened through repetition, through documentation, through emotional framing that positioned her as protector and the other parent as a threat. And what made it effective was not proof, but consistency. And now that same consistency is appearing again, only this time directed at Cody. And this is where the tension becomes undeniable. because Robin was not a passive participant in Cody becoming more controlling, more patriarchal, more assertive. She encouraged it. She benefited from it. She aligned with it when it served her interests. And now, as the consequences of those behaviors come due, she is distancing herself from them, claiming disagreement, claiming fear, claiming restraint. And this rebranding is critical because it allows her to step away without appearing complicit. And the show is providing the perfect platform for that transformation because confessionals freeze moments, isolate statements, and strip them of context, allowing a new image to emerge, one of hesitation, one of concern, one of vulnerability. And yet, longtime viewers remember a different Robin, one who was outspoken, directive, and deeply involved in shaping family decisions. And that discrepancy is what creates the unease. Because when someone claims to be shy now, but was never shy before, when someone claims reluctance now, but previously drove outcomes, it raises questions. Not accusations, but questions about timing, about motivation, about narrative control. And the tell-all moments amplify this because they are not spontaneous. They are deliberate. They are opportunities to say what will be replayed, what will be quoted, what will be remembered. And when Robin says she does not agree with what Cody does, when she says she pulls back when he is emotionally unsafe, she is not just sharing feelings, she is laying groundwork. She is establishing distance on record, and Cody seems to sense it. His apologies feel reactive, his anger flares unpredictably, his desire to reclaim the narrative feels desperate, and desperation often leads to mistakes because it prioritizes control over reflection. And that makes him vulnerable because while he has a history of volatile behavior, that history now works against him in ways it did not before. And the irony is that the very traits he was encouraged to embrace are now being cited as reasons to withdraw. And that is why this season feels like watching a slow motion collision, because both of them are preparing for impact in different ways. Cody, by trying to soften his image, to apologize, to appear reflective. Robin, by creating space, by reframing, by distancing. And neither path leads to reconciliation. They lead to separation. And what makes it gripping is that it is happening while everyone else has already moved on, while other family members are rebuilding, finding peace, thriving outside the chaos. Cody and Robin remain stuck, mourning a structure that no longer exists. And grief, when unresolved, turns into blame. And blame looks for a target. And with no external enemy left, they become each other's. And this is where the story shifts from family collapse to individual survival. Because when the dynasty is gone, when the money is divided, when the public image is fractured, loyalty changes and self-preservation takes over. And that does not require malice. It requires instinct. And Robin has always been adept at framing instinct as protection and concern. And that skill may serve her again, because narratives do not need to be true to be effective. They need to be consistent and emotionally resonant. And we are watching one being built, piece by piece, episode by episode, statement by statement. And by the time the final chapter arrives, it will not feel sudden. It will feel inevitable because the groundwork has already been laid, and the audience will think they saw it coming, even if they did not realize when it began. As the season continues, the tension does not explode. It tightens, and that is often far more dangerous because tightening tension means intention. It means awareness. It means that everyone involved knows something is wrong, but instead of fixing it, they are adjusting around it. And that adjustment is what tells the real story, because Cody and Robin are no longer speaking as two people trying to heal. They are speaking as two people trying to document their positions, and every conversation feels like it has an audience, even when no one else is in the room. And that awareness changes behavior, it changes tone, it changes what is emphasized and what is conveniently forgotten. And one of the most striking shifts is how responsibility is being redistributed, because suddenly decisions that were once presented as joint are being reframed as unilateral actions by Cody, financial choices, emotional boundaries, family dynamics are all being described as things he did rather than things they did together. And that distinction is crucial because it creates moral distance. It allows one person to say, I was there, but I did not agree. I benefited, but I did not endorse. And that separation is the foundation of plausible deniability, and it becomes especially noticeable when the conversation turns to money, because money is where intent is hardest to obscure. And yet the narrative being presented suggests hesitation, delay, concern for others, even when past actions indicate otherwise. And the audience is left to reconcile what they remember with what they are being told now. And that dissonance keeps people watching because it creates uncertainty, and uncertainty breeds engagement. And Cody, for his part, seems increasingly unable to manage that uncertainty. His reactions swing between defensiveness and remorse, between anger and apology, and that volatility reinforces the very image he is trying to escape. Because when someone reacts emotionally rather than thoughtfully, it validates the framing of instability. And that is not to say his feelings are invalid, but how they are expressed matters, especially when every moment is recorded and archived and replayed. And this is where the power dynamic flips, because for years, Cody held the authority. He made the rules, he enforced compliance, he decided who was in and who was out. And Robin supported that structure because it benefited her. But now that structure has collapsed, and authority without a system becomes insecurity, and insecurity looks like control attempts that no longer work. And when control fails, the response is often escalation, and escalation only strengthens the opposing narrative. And Robin does not need to push. She only needs to step back and let the behavior speak for itself. And that is perhaps the most unsettling part, because silence can be just as strategic as action. And as Cody spirals, she remains composed, measured, careful with her words. And that contrast is powerful because audiences tend to side with the person who appears calm, even if they were once complicit. And this is why the rebranding matters so much. The shy, reluctant, uncertain image creates sympathy. It creates protection. It creates credibility. And it does so without requiring confrontation. And the more Cody reacts, the more that image solidifies, and the shell becomes less about what actually happened and more about how it feels to watch it unfold. And feelings are what drive perception, and perception shapes legacy. And the tell-all episodes amplify this dynamic because they isolate individuals, they remove the buffer of group interactions, and they force each person to speak alone. And in those moments, Robin positions herself as reflective, as cautious, as concerned, while Cody appears reactive, wounded, angry. And while both may be experiencing pain, the way that pain is presented makes all the difference. And this is where the blueprint from the past becomes relevant again, not as an accusation, but as a pattern. Because when faced with instability, Robin has historically relied on emotional framing, documentation, and appeals to protection and safety. And those tools are effective because they resonate with institutional systems, with audiences, with narratives of responsibility and care. And Cody, on the other hand, has historically relied on authority, volume, and control. And those tools lose effectiveness when the structure that supports them disappears. And now, with the family fractured, with finances divided, with public opinion split, those old tools are not just ineffective, they are harmful. And every outburst, every defensive statement, every angry reaction becomes another data point that supports the emerging story. And that is why the outcome feels increasingly predetermined, because the narrative momentum is no longer neutral, it is directional. It is moving toward separation, toward justification, toward resolution. And whether that resolution is public or private, quiet or explosive remains to be seen, but the groundwork is undeniable. And what keeps viewers hooked is not just the drama, but the sense that they are witnessing something transitional, something that will redefine how these people are remembered. And when the final decision is made, when the announcement comes, when the silence breaks, it will not feel abrupt. It will feel like the last step in a process that began long ago, in small moments, in subtle language, in quiet distancing. And by then, the question will not be what happened, but how did we not see it sooner? So as this season comes to a close, the real question is not whether this relationship survives, but who controls the story when it ends. Because every word, every pause, and every emotional moment has been laying the groundwork for what comes next. And when the final decision is revealed, it will not feel sudden, it will feel inevitable. And that is what makes this story impossible to look away from.